this computer. Hi. This is Jo.
This is Vicky.
And we're the two natural ladies with a cute seal and
a cute woman.
So we want to introduce, this has actually never been done before. We're doing a Zoom call with Nicole, and Nicole's a homeopath, and she's from Australia, but she's actually in America at the moment. And
what we're interested in doing is, as you probably noticed, is expand more into all things natural. So Nicole does amazing work with naturopathy and
homeopathy.
Homeopathy. And Nicole's been working particularly with Vicky over many years, and I have also used Nicole's amazing drops. So we thought, what a great opportunity for Nicole to explain the difference between naturopathy and homeopathy and some other things that we have found really interesting in what we've been listening to with Nicole.
Great. Well, thank you for having me.
So, please explain to us.
Please explain.
What are the main differences between naturopathy and homeopathy?
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's a question I often get because I think a lot of people think they're one and the same. And the real difference is that naturopathy uses herbal medicine and nutrition in order to create organ balance and systemic balance. So we treat the liver, or we're treating the nervous system, or we're treating the gut, something like that. Whereas homeopathy does all of that plus mental emotional medicine. And that's really was the draw card for me as to why I chose to do that first. I then went back and did my naturopathy degree because I found that I needed more education, particularly from the nutritional perspective with my patients. However, the mind is really the clincher, because when you can work with mind-body medicine, and particularly in this world that we live in now where you've got so much mental health, there's so much high cortisol and stress, isn't there, all around, I felt that was such a massive advantage. The other thing that's unique to homeopathy that's not in any of the other alternative medicines is a concept called miasms. Now, that's just a fancy word for your body's ability to have a preconception to a whole group of illnesses. So let me break that down a little bit, because that all sounds like a bit of a mouthful. For example, some families have alcoholism that go all the way through, and some families have breast cancer, or they might have irritable bowel syndrome. And you know that with your own family history, and you might have different family history to what your husband has, which means then your children then get the mix of that DNA. And this genetic medicine, and particularly epigenetic medicine, which is the idea that we can actually change our genetics by what we consume with our food as medicine and the environment that we live in, and by making lifestyle choices. This is really what miasms are. And homeopathy can treat that, which is really exciting, I think. For example, I have a patient who comes in to me with terrible eczema, and the baby is about 18 months old, and from when the baby's been born, covered in eczema, food intolerances, terrible rashes, heat rash, poor sleep, terrible teething, bowel problems. That all fits into one of these miasms. So there's 4 different miasms. So this actually fits here. So by the time the birth of the baby is here, by the time the baby comes to see me at 18 months, this active psychotic miasm is going on. Now, it's not psychotic as in crazy, but it's the name of the miasm. So this miasm represents all those symptoms that I just listed that this 18-month-old baby has. So I'm going to be working with the mother to adjust the diet and make sure that the inflammation's down. So we're still working on the liver and pulling the heat out of the child's, gut and all that kind of stuff. But what we can do, which is, I think, the magic of homeopathy, is we then give an anti-miasmatic remedy, which means we shut this off. The vital force means that the body gets stronger, and then we're very unlikely to get a return of those symptoms. So you can imagine. Yeah.
Just to be clear, so what you're saying, miasms are a precondition. So it's something that
it's a predisposition. It's a predisposition to a certain group of illnesses.
Okay, cool. Yeah. No, I just wanted to be clear. That's what I thought you said.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's talk about teenage acne. right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you see how some families have really terrible scarring acne. It kind of goes through a few kids. And then there's others that they just don't get a single pimple or a little bit of a blackhead, and that's it.
It happens in my family. I've got 2 that do and 2 that don't. Yeah.
So it's really interesting because you think, well, hang on, I've got 4 children with the same man. You know, how does this kind of work? And it's got to do with these different miasms that are either active or dormant. And the thing that can activate these miasms is periods of change, periods of high stress, right? So we've all read those articles about how death and marriage and change and, you know, moving house and all that kind of thing affects health. Well, we can see that even just a change in schools or an opportunity of being bullied at school or anxiety can be enough that just triggers acne. And so I'll get a 15-year-old who comes to see me, and the mum brings him in and says, we were doing fine until we changed schools or until he got kicked off the basketball team. And all of a sudden we're covered in acne. Now, what's happened is he's got an active tubercular miasm that previously wasn't there. The stress in what happened was enough to activate it. So I've got to do all the dietary stuff. I've got to work on the skin, and we do vitamins and what products are they using, and you switch them all over to natural. But the other part of the treatment that's the curative part that I feel homeopathy has more scope with than naturopathy is we're going to shut that off, which means you actually get cured. And that's exciting. That's really exciting.
Can I also ask, why are some underneath and some are on top? Or is that just to show us the different?
No, let's talk about that. That's a great question. So this is where we start. This is birth, and then this is death. Okay? And most of us, if we're born relatively healthy, we have an active psoriatic miasm. Now, what makes that important, or what's important about that, is that I get a cold and my body can throw it off. You know, I kind of resolve things, or if I cut myself, my skin heals quickly. But if I put a lot of suppressive pharmaceutical drugs, or I have really poor diet, like the standard American diet, my vital force goes down. So I get pushed into this miasm. If I still don't look after myself and I'm still using pharmaceuticals, I get pushed into this one, and then I get pushed into this one.
So what are they more? Is the first one less significant, and as you go on, they become more significant and more likely that you'll get cancers, etc., life-threatening?
That's right.
So if you let yourself go, that's where you go. This is great.
That's right.
This is really good, because it's also a lot about the things that we talk about, because we do talk about mental health. We do talk about natural childbirth. We do talk about, as I said, all things natural, and this fits in perfectly.
Like the missing link.
It's perfect. I love it.
Well, what I love is that I feel like I'm not just throwing a supplement at a patient, and it's not like I'm stabbing in the dark and trying to work out what it is. Homeopathy has a really solid science, and it's got 200 years of provings to show that it works. So my number one job is actually to work out where every one of my patients is. So, for example, inflammatory illnesses such as MS, lupus, Lyme disease, cancer, all that kind of thing, it starts here, but most of the time they come and see me here. So my job is to actually move them back in this direction. And as I do that, not only do the symptoms fall away, but they experience this wellness. It's just I don't know this is the constant feedback. And Vicky, we've talked about this a lot with the remedies. I don't know what's in that bottle, but I'm managing myself and my life better than before I did. So even if it's not an elimination of
Benjamin Button thing, I'm being silly now.
No. I can't get rid of pimples or anything miraculous like that. No.
All right.
But it's very cool to have your patients within 2 weeks feel this systemic lift of their body working, that vitality, without having to go through 3 months of diet change to achieve that. Because that's what I used to do with my patients, right? Eliminate dairy and gluten and glyphosates, and then we'll feel well. Whereas with this miasmatic work, you get that quickly, it's an exciting thing that natural medicine is moving into this field more and more to say, it's not about not just being sick, it's about being well.
Love it.
Well, and how to get well. This is new information. I think even though I've been seeing you for years, Nicole, the videos you've been doing in your community, which we'll talk about in a minute, I'm learning so much from what you're talking about. And so I want to get it, and I couldn't share it out to the world that way, so that's why we got you on here, because I want more people to know there's more that they can do for their health that they might have found they're stopped. And I think this information can really help them.
And actually easy for them.
Yeah.
Maybe not so easy for you because you've got to work through everything, but easy for them. And that's the thing too, that in this day and age, people do want things easy. And as you said, to say, and that's not, doesn't mean we don't work on what we're eating and what we're drinking, etc. But to be able to know that you can help us and not have to eliminate all of that straight away, to start working on that, because they can be, lifelong things that we've been doing, whether we drink milk or whatever it is that we can't, might not be something we can get rid of quickly, might take a bit of time, whereas you can actually start working on those miasms really quickly. That's fabulous, Nicole. I'm really excited.
Yeah, just to that point though, I think what you said is really important, in that so many patients have come to me who have said, I've seen a naturopath for 10 years and I still have this lost list of 5 things that they can't get rid of. And I'm frustrated because I've given up all the good things in life. I have decaf coffee, and I now have oat milk, not dairy milk, and I'm now having grass-fed beef, and I'm trying this and this. And there's almost an exasperation within the natural medicine community to say, well, what gives? Because I'm making all these changes and I'm not getting what I am expecting. And this is where I feel the homeopathic miasm work, and I've only started, Vicky, talking about it publicly probably the last 2 years, because previously it's just all been theory. But what I'm realizing about the world that we're living in is that knowledge is power. And if people understand it, they not only buy into it, but they invite that kind of healing and transformation, because what we say and what we believe comes to fruition, right?
Yes.
So as I'm explaining to a patient, I still want you to, make these few dietary adjustments, but we're working on this on a different level. It almost opens up, oh, I can actually heal from this. That's amazing. And then the cellular receptivity to that is that the body starts changing because there's hope again.
Absolutely. And look, I remember my 32-year-old son, he had eczema from probably 18 months, 2 years. We were going to naturopaths. We'd actually been introduced to homeopathy in India before having kids 35 years ago. So we were aware of it, but it was pretty much non-existent 30 odd years ago. And we were crushing up tablets to give to him to try and help with his eczema. And in the end, it was just so hard and wasn't making any real difference that we sort of, we did find other ways of doing things, but it certainly wasn't a cure-all for him, whereas this sounds, loving it. So
it's very next level,
Yeah. So look, thank you so much for your time.
So
I think this.
I want to mention the Pure Force community. What's the actual name of it, Nicole?
So it's the Pure Force Remedies community. It's a closed community that everybody can join if they apply. And the reason for that is because I'm being very protective of the space. In the world that we live in now, with particular issues such as immunization and cancer and all the rest of it, I can't talk like you can't talk publicly about particular things. So it's very intentionally a closed community, but we're very welcoming and we want more members. So it's a delicate balance, isn't it?
No, we'll definitely let people know that, and because I think there'll be a lot of people that will be interested in it in our community. And I think that the way you've spoken and explained it, I understand it, and I'm very basic when it comes to anything like this, so thank you. I really get it, and I think that you've done an amazing job, and I look forward to actually getting together, you and me, and doing some work on my health. So,
well, thank you for having me, and I love what you guys are doing and what you represent, because it's this grassroots women to women that's the change maker, really.
Absolutely.
And I love what you are doing, because it's so grassroots, so that we can all start somewhere, because this big health and alternative wellness and nutrition, it can be a big world out there, and we've got to decipher it through. So I love what you guys are doing, and thank you for having me.
Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you. I'm just going to stop the recording, and we'll just have a few words afterwards as well. So
sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.